And again, I want to thank Lucy Pearson. What a great lady. Neat lady. If you get a chance, folks, go on out there to Pearsonville and see all those hubcaps that she's got. Guinness Book of World Records and all that. Look where I'm sitting. I'm sitting here in an office that's got more plaques and pictures than anything that I've ever seen. And if you take a look here, United States Marine Corps, we are in the office of First Sergeant Arnold Pasillas. I'm going to introduce him in just a moment here. But we've covered Army recruiting, we've covered Navy recruiting, and of course we have the Marine Aviation Detachment here on base. And you recognize First Sergeant Pasillas because of Toys for Tots, if you recall, so he's kind of used to this. How are we doing, First Sergeant?
Oh, not too bad, Ray. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, you know, I'm feeling pretty important sitting here, man.
That's a big seat. It's a big seat.
That is definitely a big seat. You got a big job here, and I can tell with all, like I say, everything you got on the wall here. Tell me, you actually do recruiting here? Because there's not a Marine recruiter in town, I don't believe, is there?
No, there used to be an office right there on Channel Lake Boulevard. But now we have recruiters in Bakersfield and in Lancaster, Palmdale area. And they come up here every once in a while and see what's going on with Burroughs High School and maybe check out some of the students that are interested in the Marine Corps.
But I would suppose maybe if somebody is interested, they might be able to come talk to somebody here since it's so close?
That's most definite. Yeah, yeah.
Definite. Okay. You know, and I told you this before, my daughter, who is in the Army, just got out of basic training, and she and her husband are both in AIT right now, and she was telling me that the basic training, as she expected, was tough. Things that she knew she was going to have to do, didn't know if she was able to do them, and was so proud of herself after she did them. It really built up her confidence and all that. And I don't think it's any kind of a secret that Marine training is not easy. It's pretty doggone tough, too.
Yes, it is. It's hard, you know, and you know, when you go to basic training, you know, just in any other branch of the service, you know, you're secluded from life, and it's a totally different change. You know, you can't a lot of things that you can't do, you know, because they want to build, they want to basically break you down, take away the civilian part of you, and put in the military part of you, because that's what you need, especially in the branch of service. You need that self-discipline and that teamwork concept, mentality.
Exactly, and you know, I mentioned this too when we were talking about the Army. With a recruiter there, and I recall my basic training 35 years ago in the Army. And I hated to admit it was that long ago. But anyway, when I went in, of course, here I am, the civilian and all that, and suddenly I go in, I get my hair cut, not exactly to my specifications, and I'm all of a sudden putting on a set of, we didn't have camis back then, we just had the regular OD fatigues. And suddenly, you are not the individual. It's a group effort. It was a team effort. And I think that is what I really enjoyed. If you look, I enjoyed about basic training, is because it was a team effort.
Going into the military, and especially any branch of the service, it's a big step. You know, getting a driver's license, going on your first date, graduating from high school, those are all things that are important to a young man or woman nowadays. And going in the military where you know you have to give, you know, 3, 4, 5, as many as 6 years of your life dedicated to one portion, and which is the military. But there's a lot of things that young men and women nowadays accomplish, even if they're going for 4 years. You know, you got your self-discipline, you got that sense of teamwork, okay, and there's a certain regiment that you take on. You know, you get up in the morning, do your stuff, iron your clothes, or do whatever, you know, and there's a progression that you go through, which civilians nowadays really like, is the self-discipline, you know, and that you can be counted on when somebody tells you to do something.
And that seems to be the key. Okay. So, folks, we're talking to First Sergeant Pasillas. Let's go back in time and talk to Private Pasillas. All right, and how it was back then when you first went in. First of all, what made you decide on the military? What made you decide on the Marine Corps?
It wasn't, I was one of them 85%ers. 85% of the men and women nowadays, young men and women nowadays, join the military on a spur of the moment. And that's a good analysis right there. I mean, it's probably higher now, probably to about 30% of the young men and women nowadays think about it, and they research, and they read. And that is what society has gone on through the years, is now the young men and women nowadays are a lot smarter. They, you know, they're graduates, and they're coming in with degrees, bachelor's, master's, and they're computer literate. You know, when I came in, chiseled on a rock. That was
what was a computer?
yeah. What was a computer? I had no great expectations about making this a career. You know, I came in and just, you know, I basically lived the same life when I was, you know, my dad raised me to almost the same way. So boot camp was hard. I loved to, you know, to run and to physically train and play sports. And then when I got to my first duty station was Hawaii. Here I am traveling already, and I just didn't want to go back to school. I was going to college to be L.A. sheriff, and I didn't want to work for $1.75 an hour back then. That was minimum wage, you know. And I just, you know, came in here, and I had a cousin who retired from the Marines as a gunnery sergeant, and so I just, you know, basically came in and just followed it, you know, and there was nothing better to do at the time, you know, and so I just stayed in, you know, and here I am almost 25 years later.
25 years later. Wow, okay. Now, one thing I do want to mention also, I always see these billboards. It says we want a few good men, something like that. It's not exactly the easiest thing in the world to get into the Marine Corps, is it?
No, it's not. And just like any other branch, Ray, you know, you have to be mentally and physically qualified. You know, you got to make sure that you don't have a police record, you know, and there's a whole bunch of other things that as a recruiter you have got to siphon out. You know, the applicant, the young man or woman, might not tell you that in the beginning, you know, and he or she might like what you're saying, and then when you, as recruiters, are trained to dig and find those things that might be obstacles when they're going for the mental and the physical test, and that could be a stumbling block, you know, something as having a child. You know, if the guy says, well, you know, I'm not going to tell the recruiter, but it'll come up somewhere, and then it's like, boom, you stop all your processing and wait till you get that thing taken care of. It's not a big deal. It's just that, you know, recruiters need to know all that stuff up front. You know, it makes transition, it makes processing a lot smoother.
Okay. What are the process? What does a person go through? Okay, let's say I'm 18 years old, whatever it may be, or whatever. I'm interested in the Army, interested in the Marine Corps. I come and talk to you, and what are you really going to be looking for? What are you going to tell me?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you that this is a big step, and that you being an individual right now, you're making a conscious effort to improve your life, you know, and improve your who you are on the inside, you know, and somebody who does pick the Marine Corps is looking for something that's a lot challenging, you know. You would have to be either a senior expecting to graduate or a high school graduate, and I would have to verify that with transcripts or a high school diploma. You got to be physically qualified, meaning that you don't have any pins or screws, and that's what's called, you know, medical waivers, and miscellaneous such as traffic tickets, you know, felonies, drug arrest, and stuff like that. And it's a big process, and you would take what's called the ASVAB test, and you have to score the minimum's a 31, the highest is a 99. So we have kids scoring in all ranges, and you have to be physically qualified. You know, it doesn't mean running or jumping or pull-ups. Say, check your eyes, you know, and all the physical parts. Make sure you don't have any, you know, like asthma or some kind of ailment that's on the inside that we can't see on the outside. You know, when
I seem to remember back in 1965 when they checked us out medically, it was sort of like, yeah, heart's bleeding, yeah, blood's red.
Oh yeah,
it was a little different back then.
Times have changed, you know, and society has changed, and society nowadays wants their military to be up to par physically, mentally, and emotionally too.
Well, as a matter of fact, now there were stories I've heard, and it's true too, that a kid who would get in trouble, let's say, would go up before the judge and says, okay, you got your choice of going to jail, you got your choice of going to the military. Oh, that just don't happen anymore.
Oh, no. You know, recruiters are not allowed in the courtroom, you know, because some judges are former military, and they will ask that question, you know, and usually an applicant does happen to wind up in a courtroom. It would be best if he was going in the military, they told the judge, but you know, the recruiters can't tell the judge anything. They can't call him up or do anything like that, because that will tend to sway, you know, the judge, and we do not promote that you know, that type of conduct as recruiters, because you know, our school is 2 months long and it's intense, you know, and they teach you a lot of stuff on selling, you know, because you know, you have to agree with me, it's hard trying to get a human being to do 4 years of his life, especially in the Marines.
I was going to say, especially the Marines. Okay, I've signed up, and I've done everything I'm going to have to do, and I'm ready to go. Where do I go, and what am I expecting?
Let's say you sign up as a senior, okay, or you sign up in the summer year of your junior, senior year. You sign up, your parents sign. If you're 17, they have to acknowledge that they understand you are going to be a Marine and going to boot camp, either in Parris Island, South Carolina, or Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, California. Those are the only two basic trainings that we have. Another thing is that the only female basic training we have is in Parris Island, South Carolina. Okay, so you sign up as a senior, you will go back and do your senior year, and your recruiter will monitor you. You know, usually have what's called pooling meetings. That's where once you enlist, you go in what's called the delayed entry program, the DEP, and you basically come under the wing of your recruiter, and he makes sure you graduate, keeping up your grades. You're not doing anything illegal that will hinder you from going to basic training. Now, if you are a graduate, okay, and you're waiting around to go to basic training, the recruiter more or less will put on your contract when you are going. Let's say if you enlist in January as a graduate, he might say you're not going to leave until March, because he has what's called a mission statement where he has to place certain individuals. And you being a graduate, you can basically leave at any time. But usually what Marine recruiters try to do is place you in a spot so that you can take care of, close out all your business as a civilian, and then go to basic training, coming back as a Marine, so you don't have no ties as far as like bills, child support, or anything like that, that when you go to basic training, that you have nothing in your way that will hinder you from graduating. Once you graduate, you get 10 days boot camp leave, and then you go on. Everybody, if you are infantry, you go to the School of Infantry, and you report into Infantry Training Battalion, and we got two of those, one in Camp Pendleton, California, and one at Camp Geiger, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. If you are other than infantry, you go to what's called Marine Combat Training Battalion. Both of them are at School of Infantry. MCT, Marine Combat Training Battalion, is where all what we call the butchers, bakers, candlestick makers. They all go there. You got your engineers, your truck drivers, aviation guys. And we had one commandant, General Gray, said, every Marine's a rifleman. So these people that are not going to be infantry, they go there and they get a 17-day course of intense infantry tactics. Live fire, every weapon in the inventory. They get their tactics. They go basically out to the field for like 3 weeks, and that's all they do. So this way they have that instilled in their makeup, and then they go on to their advanced training, whether aviation engineers or whatever.
Right. And how many jobs are available? What is available?
I really can't name them all, but there's roughly about 900 occupational fields, I think, something like that. Something like that. Don't quote me.
No, I'm not going to quote you on that, but it's fun. It's kind of interesting. When I think of the Marines, I'm just thinking of the ones that are just out there
in the bush.
In the bush, the grunts.
Yeah.
And that is all the Marines do.
Well, contrary to popular belief, there's only 33% of the Marine Corps is infantry. The other 67% support that man on the ground, that Marine on the ground, that infantry, that grunt. Yeah.
And really, there are of the other services, Army, Navy, whatever. There are fewer Marines, aren't there?
Yes. Currently, we have, I think, about 172,000 Marines. That's it. And we do, the recruiting duty, the drill instructors. We also have Marines on embassy. Every embassy around the world is guarded by U.S. Marines. Every naval base around the world is guarded by U.S. Marines. Okay. A lot of your naval security forces are trained by U.S. Marines. All the officers in the Marine Corps are trained by enlisted Marines. We have some real good schools that train some of our civilian counterparts that guard the president and stuff like that.
You just reminded me of something. There was a movie that I just saw recently again. I saw it twice. Mm-hmm. And I think it's A Few Good Men. What was that one with Jack Nicholson and...
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. And right at the very beginning of the movie, they're showing some Marines out there that are doing this drill. It's kind of a silent thing where that is impressive.
Yes, that's the 8th and I out of Washington, D.C. They got the silent drill team, and then they got the silent drill platoon, where they do a whole series of drill movements, 10 minutes worth, with no commands.
the other drill teams are good. It's just they're not, I don't think they're as good as the Marine Corps drill team. As he's going through the drill or being inspected, or if I'm inspecting a Marine, the biggest fear is to drop a weapon. He throws it out and it looks like it just flew out of nowhere. I catch the rifle, I stop, and I face my double, that's my mirror. And we go through a sequence of spins and tosses and throws, and he mirrors what I do. I face him, he pops up his weapon, spins it, he opens the chamber, and he throws the rifle to me, and I spin it. I look at the chamber, and I look into the muzzle, and I do a little bit of spins, and I throw the rifle up onto my shoulder, and I throw it over the shoulder to the Marine, and he catches it. It's just complete concentration. I'm looking at my Marine, he's looking at me, and I suck off some of his confidence, and he brings my confidence off of him, so we make each other confident as we're going through the events.
We're talking to First Sergeant Arnold Pasillas here at the Marine Aviation Detachment. We're going to kind of switch the subject here a little bit because this weekend we've got a very important event that's coming up, and that's the 12th annual Mad Dash. Okay, and we've been talking about this on radio, folks. So what have we got going here?
Okay, we got the 12th annual Mad Dash Marine Aviation Detachment 10K run and 5K walk run. Okay. It starts at 8 o'clock, April 22nd, right out here in front on the street in between the medical building and MAD headquarters here. It's the 12th annual. The city of Ridgecrest has been behind us on this ever since we've started. I can't say enough for the city because they've been behind us as far as everything that we have done. Toys for Tots and the ball and now the Mad Dash. I would like to thank some of our sponsors here. Vaughn's, Texas Cattle, McDonald's, Ridgecrest Cinema, Nicoletti's, Sizzler, Walmart, just about every place. In Touch Therapy, just been behind us. They've really jumped on board, and I'd really like to thank them from the bottom of my heart that this is a good thing, and I am glad that we're going to have their, sponsor on the back of our T-shirt.
That's great. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to be there as well. Okay, so anyway, folks, that's going to be this coming Saturday, the 22nd. That's going to be at 8 a.m., and it's really worthwhile to do. Can they still... Do they still have to call somebody here?
You can. I can be reached at 939-8093 or 939-6601. We got the applications right here. We got them at the MWR. We got them at the gym. We got them at the radio station and several places out in town. You can just pick one up, fill it out, run it in here with your check, and we will put your name. You have your bag already with your number, your T-shirt, and it should be a high-speed type thing.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, you can come over and just you can give me a call at the radio station, 375-8888. And which reminds me, anytime you got any idea for the program, give me a call there, too. That's the best way to get a hold of me. First Sergeant Pasillas, thank you very much. And we look forward to, I guess you'll be doing Toys for Tots again this year.
Yeah, I think so.
You have decided to retire by that time. Okay, that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. We've been covering the Army, we've covered the Navy, and now we've covered the Marines. So... young folks going to Burroughs or Mesquite, if you've got any ideas of what to do with your life, this is a definite option. I know friends of mine, well, my own two kids, well, my daughter and son-in-law have done it, and it's been very worthwhile for them. Thanks for watching. We're going to see you next week. Good night.